I'm Jeff Leiper, and I've had the honor of serving on City Council for these past 11 and a half years. In that role, I've worked hard. I've advocated for communities, I've pushed for better decisions, I have fought to make this city stronger and more responsive to the people who live here. There have been some wins, but as we've all seen, there have been too many setbacks. But I've come to understand something clearly. There are limits to what you can fix from one seat at the council table. I've done what I can in the role I have, and that's why I'm running for mayor. I'm running to fix the things I can't fix right now and to set a new direction for the entire city. Everywhere I go, people tell me the same thing. Ottawa doesn't work anymore. You know it, I know it. Tonight, we're going to talk about what to do about it. This election is a real choice for Ottawa. We can keep going down the same path, or we can start building a city that actually works. Over the last year, I've spent a lot of time traveling across Ottawa. So last summer, I was in rural communities, suburban, downtown neighborhoods. In the fall, I launched my listening tour that went from Canada to Nepean, from Orleans to Ottawa South. And everywhere I went, people said the same thing. Ottawa doesn't work the way it should. So let's be clear about what's happening. This isn't about one bad decision or one tough year. This is what happens when a city runs on fumes for so long that everything starts to break down at once. Last election, things were at a breaking point. Now, they're broken. Last election, the paint was peeling. Now the walls are crumbling. You feel it in your daily life. A parent who misses daycare pickup because the bus didn't show again. A senior who chooses between groceries and a taxi ride because they don't believe that transit is safe or reliable. There are neighborhood pools that are closed for weeks because they haven't been maintained properly. There are libraries, like my own, that are closed on Sundays. And this is what broken looks like. Trips that used to take 20 minutes by bus now take 45. Transit routes are getting cut, schedules are unpredictable, and the fares keep rising. We hear a lot of talk about affordability at City Hall. But for too many people, the city is becoming less affordable in practice. When public services don't work, people end up paying out of pocket. We're seeing a real cost shifting of services that were covered to people. And you see it in how decisions get made. Projects like Lansdowne 2.0 that move forward really quickly and expensively with minimal transparency. Residents see the decisions first, and then the explanation comes later. It's especially frustrating because Ottawa has so much potential. People here care deeply about their neighborhoods, their city, and each other. We should be doing better than this. So we can all see what's going wrong. Over the course of the campaign, we're going to roll out detailed plans. But tonight, I want to be clear about the direction I'm proposing and the kind of city that we can build together. A city that works, a city that people can afford, and a city that people can trust again. And here's what that looks like. First, transit that gives you your time back. Good transit isn't just about getting from point A to point B. It's about freedom. It's about a parent getting home in time for dinner. It's about a student who can afford to get to class. It's about cleaner air and less traffic and a city that actually moves. That's what transit should unlock. And that's what we've lost. A city that works starts with transit that you can rely on. We need a transit system where the buses show up when they're supposed to, that they run often enough that you can use them and actually get people where they need to go. New ways to bus, and there's no way to sugarcoat this, has meant less service, not better service. So as mayor, I will reverse service cuts and reinvest in OC Transpo. I will introduce a bus rider's service guarantee with clear public standards, including 10-minute daytime frequency on core routes, so riders know what they're entitled to and can hold the system accountable. We'll identify key streets where dedicated bus lanes can be implemented quickly, cutting commute times, reducing congestion, and lowering emissions. If we want people to choose transit, we have to make it reliable. Every missed bus and every breakdown erodes trust. Rebuilding that trust will take time, but it starts with clear standards, real accountability, and visible improvement. Second, a city hall that people can trust. Restoring trust doesn't stop with transit. It has to extend to how the city is run. Right now, people, you, feel locked out. Big decisions get made in private and then sold in public. And that has to end. Right now, people feel shut out of decision making. They feel like City Hall operates behind closed doors and only explains itself after the fact. I believe in a City Hall that works in the open. That starts with transparency. As mayor, I'll publish a regular public schedule. I'll keep a close eye on the city's communications to make sure that they're emphasizing information instead of spin. But trust also depends on how we make decisions about money. For too long, and I know this well, the city has set arbitrary budget targets. Then we quietly cut what people rely on to hit that number. Roads don't get repaved, pools don't open, buses don't run, snow doesn't get responsibility. That's managed decline. Instead, we need to start with a more honest conversation. What kind of city do we want, and what do we need to invest in to make it work? After years of doing less, we face a real choice. Are we okay with things continuing to break down, or are we willing to invest in what people rely on every day? Also, I'm going to commit tonight that just like all my other campaigns, I will not take a single donation from any developers. Third, a city that people can afford starts with housing that works for people. Housing comes up everywhere I go. I hear it every day. A teacher who can't afford to live in the city where she works, a family who are paying half or more of their income in rent, who are just like one emergency away from losing everything. A senior who's getting pushed out of the neighborhood where they've lived for 30 years. We need a mayor who will focus on affordability, not making well-connected developers rich. Housing isn't just a market problem. It's a leadership problem. As mayor, I'll commit to creating 1,500 new nonprofit homes every year for the next decade. These are homes that stay affordable, not just for a few years, but for the long term. I will work with not-for-profit housing providers to acquire privately owned affordable buildings that are in poor condition, fix them up, keep them affordable, and prevent dem evictions. Now, most landlords in the city do the right thing, but most does not mean all, and right now the system barely holds them accountable. I will increase the fines and the penalties so landlords who fail to maintain safe housing face real consequences. Enforcement has to mean something. Fourth, a city that is built for people. A city that works is also whether your neighborhood has places where people can gather without spending money. A library, a rec center, a park, somewhere kids can play, where seniors can meet, where families can cool off on a hot summer day. That's what public space is for, and that's what we've been losing. A city that works invests in the basics: safe roads, parks and community centers, libraries, arts and culture, and the programming that animates those. Services that help neighborhoods to thrive. We need to remove the red tape at City Hall that is suffocating our volunteers who create much of that programming. We deserve safer streets for everyone. A city where kids can bike to school and their parents don't worry for their safety. We very much need to confront the massive deferred maintenance backlog that's been ignored for too long. Let's fix what we have and take care of it properly. We also need to adapt to a changing climate. That means extending the operating season for splash pads and wading pools from Victoria Day through September. increasing hours at recreation facilities like tennis and pickleball courts, making sure that every community has a cool place to gather. We can also grow responsibly, allowing more mid-rise housing where that makes sense, especially when affordable homes are included, so that people can stay in the communities they love. That's the vision. A city that works, a city that people can afford, and a city that people can trust. Okay, now let me talk about how we can win. Ideas don't win elections, people do. We win by building a coalition that this city hasn't seen in years. Renters and homeowners, transit riders and drivers, people who vote every time, and people who have checked out because they felt that no one was listening. Urban, suburban, and rural voters. That's the movement we're building. Not because it's easy, but because that's what it actually takes to change things. This campaign will be open, accessible, and rooted in real conversations. That's why meetings like this matter. And that's where you come in. There are many ways to get involved. Help shape policy, organize in your neighborhood, knock on doors, make calls, help with data, communications, with events, or simply talking to the people you know and bringing them in to the conversation. If you've never been involved in a campaign before, that's okay. And if you have, well, that's pretty great too. What matters is that we do this together. Ottawa can change direction. It won't be easy, it won't happen overnight, but with the right leadership and enough people who are willing to fight for it, we can build a city that actually works. So, let's get to work. Thank you for being here. I'm excited to build this campaign with you. I'm going to turn this over to my campaign manager, Stephen Yardy, to go through a little more on what we need to do and what we are going to do to win.